Hey, are you sitting comfortably? I've got myself a coffee and here we are with another reflection, another update on my weight loss journey and like my undoing, I suppose, but also me reflecting on the effects of weight loss and what that has meant for me. So, if you followed my journey along, you will know that last year I lost like 9 stone. That impacted massively on certain aspects of my life, and I'm just doing a bit of a catch up, a bit of a reflection, just so I can draw a line as to where I am and to make sure I'm where I'm supposed to be, if that makes sense. So you know where I'm up to, because my previous recordings haven't been as consistent as what they were. And I thought this is a good way to draw a line, I'm going to say start afresh. I am not starting afresh because I think it's important not to. Like, I want to learn from my experience. I don't want to be like, oh, I've put some weight on. I want to draw a line under it. I'm starting again. Forget everything that's happened to me. Because ultimately, if I forget everything that's happened to me and I don't reflect, one, I won't grow and develop, but also, like, that's part of my journey and that's part of my growth and changing. And I don't want to forget it. I want to have that as part of my journey. So I've just I'm kind of getting myself back on track. I'm feeling a lot better and I've been watching my videos back. Part of the reason I recorded my journey right from the beginning was because I wanted to use this as a basis to reflect on and grow and develop and see where I was, see what I go through, and be able to look at my videos objectively and be able to make changes. Now, weirdly, when I first started recording that, I thought it was just going to be completely weight loss. I was really naive, and it was I was concentrating more on my diet and what I ate and how I felt about that. I did kind of know that I would mentally have some changes in terms of my head catching up, how I felt about myself, clothes and fat shames and things like that. But I wasn't actually prepared for the extent of the changes that weight loss would have, on all aspects of my life, and as it happens, on all people in my life. So one of this video, I'm just keeping to relationships, and what I go through isn't going to be the same as everybody else, but I'm pretty sure that some of the things that I've gone through in a relationship and with weight loss and how things have changed and how I've viewed things are going to be the same for other people too. I think sometimes you have the tendency to feel quite alone and you're probably the only one that's going through it. And I don't know whether there's another YouTuber out there or somebody that's recorded the journey or whatever that's gone through the same as me. I'm not going to lie, I don't have time to really sit and watch tons of videos, but the videos that I have watched, people don't seem to discuss this as rawly. And I know people have addressed the changes of stuff with relationships, like Louise, who I've watched some of her videos, and she's lost loads of weight and she had a few relationship issues, but it does seem to be something that's not really discussed. I think part of that is down to respect, and I completely respect that. But I do think there seems to be a tendency with skirting over it and not properly talking about the effect that it has on you and your relationship and your partnership and your sex life and things like that. And actually it's quite important. Why is sex life and discussing it such a taboo? It shouldn't be. And the more people talk about stuff and the more things that people are open, the more communication is freer and the more you're able to rectify things that you're not happy with, or just identify things that aren't quite right and the changes that are made. I will remember, I went to group for well over a year at Slimming World, and not once was it discussed how the weight loss journey impacts on your relationship. And that isn't just intimacy. It's a whole massive array of different things that it affects. And through reflection, watching my own videos back and having really bad rocky moments with Oliver, my partner, I've like seen a lot of failures, and I've gone through a lot of difficult times, and I've put things in place to be able to rectify and grow. Like you are desired to actually grow as a couple. I think it's important to grow as a couple in a relationship anyway, but more so when you're going through this yourself. So I will start by like giving you a bit of a throwback for if somebody's watching this and they haven't seen it before. So I started my journey at 25 stone. Yes, that is right, 25 stone. It was like, at the time I didn't realise fully how much that impacted on me, but like emotionally it did. And ultimately our relationship was affected by that. I went on a year of really like concentrating on weight loss and being really strict with myself because I wanted to go on holiday. It all started with wanting to go on an aeroplane and being too fat to go on a plane. That in itself affected our relationship because it limited our travel and our experience. And I think travel's a massive thing for a relationship, like exploring and doing new things and having that freedom. It's important, and I didn't realize how important that were until now. Before I started this, I think being so overweight and that made me feel bad about myself impacted on me and Oliver in a positive way to an extent, because I had such low self-esteem. My expectations weren't there for Oliver, because I suppose in a subconscious manner I was grateful that he was with me, because I feel so ugly and so gross and like I don't deserve stuff. In a way, I think it's important for me to say now, like as much as that's painful to say, that I was grateful for Oliver to be with me in some respects and want to like have sex with me and stuff. I think we've got to give a bit of gratitude to Oliver, because I think in my videos, I am really quite harsh with him, and I'll tell you when everything's going wrong and when he does really awful stuff and the way he speaks to me. And don't get me wrong, none of that is acceptable. But as a gratitude thing, like one of the reassuring things that I have reflected on and that I have kind of like accepted and been a bit more grateful for is that guy's with me and has stayed with me through a massive weight increase and then me losing weight. And we've had a lot of horrible times. Like I've been hormonal and vile and awful, and I've put a lot of pressure on him, and I've forced him into these changes. Some of stuff that he needed to, but that isn't easy for him. And ultimately that weren't really his choice, all them things, but ultimately he's stayed with me through that. I've stayed with him through that, through some really horrible times. Because he is fundamentally a really good person, and he's got some amazing qualities, and I see this, but we've had to like really develop on some areas that I found really unacceptable. So as I've lost weight, like I have gone through a massive mental change. So I've had to like really reflect on myself. During my weight loss, I've like gone into premenopause, and it threw fireworks into our relationship, and I mean in every which way, shape and form. Now I haven't preempted this video or what I'm going to talk about, so I might jump from one thing to another, because as I'm talking, more and more things are coming up, and yeah, I'm just like that, because I think I'm like, there's something going on with me. I'm so easily on the spectrum. I squirrel like mad. So one of the things was like that developed was I really struggled with my self-esteem. So as I was losing weight, I think I pinned on losing weight as in that would naturally make my self-esteem develop and I would feel better. That isn't the case, and that definitely isn't the case in a relationship. So although I was losing weight and getting more compliments, because I was concentrating on my appearance, I felt uglier and uglier and uglier, and I was like concentrating on all the things that were wrong with me. I got a bit obsessive with that, and that spiraled me into this like awful part where I was strongly hating on myself. And a bit of that was hormones, like with going through hormonal changes with age, dare I say it. But part of it was I was changing and my head wasn't there. And I were really quite demanding, and I think because I'd not got that self-confidence myself, I was nagging at Oliver for that self-confidence. That puts a lot of strain on a relationship. Like, that isn't easy for your partner, and I know that that's not been easy for Oliver. So my sex drive went through the roof at times as well, maybe because I felt lighter and more attractive. But part of that was like I was craving that sexual attention to give me the reassurance and to make me feel better. Now, that was like a massive U-turn from when, like, as life before me losing weight. And I'd almost just expected Oliver to like naturally go along with that. But that's not natural. That's not how it works. And I don't think anybody tells you that. So we have had to do a lot of talk where that's concerned. It's not been easy, I'm not gonna lie. And I know this is so cliche, but communication is key. We have had arguments about it. We've nearly split up about it. I haven't got my engagement ring on. It's just because I've been cleaning. It's not because we're split up. And I mean, we on occasion have split up. I'm not gonna lie. It has been points where I've been like, I don't want this anymore. I can't do it anymore. I don't want it. You're not giving me what I need out of this, and things have changed. But we have, thankfully, again, Oliver gratitude. He's quite stubborn, and he's basically just said, no, we're not splitting up. Like, I love you. Like, we're going through a bit of shite. I don't agree with what you're doing and what you're saying, but I'm not leaving. That was really frustrating and annoying at the time. I found negative in him saying that, but actually I think it's maybe what we needed, because I was ready just to like concentrate on myself and get rid of him. And he's actually had the stubbornness to love me through it all, I suppose, and really like grew it down and work through it, which again, you can't knock him for that. Like, there's not a lot of men that do that, and I think that's actually quite admirable. So anyway, sex life wise, we have had to grow and develop, and things have had to change. That open communication where we're talking about it, like, don't get me wrong, we are not perfect at all. Like, there is still areas what he is a proper arse with. I'm going to be honest, in the bedroom department, he's been allowed to be so selfish and be served, I'm going to say. We aren't being too graphic and telling you the ins and outs of our life. Oh my God, I'm going to blush. But it's like now, because my self-esteem's changed and I've took like 9 months of really reflecting on myself and getting to a point of actually I deserve better than this. Like, I'm dragging him along by the scruff of his neck and saying, look, mate, it's either you up your game or you screw off, because I ain't putting up with this. Like, you need to up yourself. And I'm not going to lie, give that guy a round of applause. He has actually took that on board, and he's not perfect. We definitely have stuff to develop on, as I keep saying, because, to be honest, I don't want perfect. I'm just going to give you a bit of a spoiler here. No relationship is perfect, and never will be. No matter how much weight you lose, no matter what you do, no relationship is perfect, because you are humans and life is not supposed to be. And ultimately, do you know, if you don't argue and have disagreements in relationships, how do you develop together? Like, you might not have a massive row and people, I don't know, row in different ways. It's not about that, but nobody's perfect. And as you grow and develop as individuals and go through life, things get tough, and like, it's not okay sometimes, but it's okay not to be okay. You just have to like find out how to grow together. And that's that. That's my like insight of the day. I just think online people put it forward that the lives are so perfect, and I'm just telling you, it's just not. Like, from the input that I have from a lot of different people, as much as their social media accounts might look as though they're loved up and perfect, they actually hate each other sometimes, and that's okay. Like, sometimes I could throw Oliver through a wall, and I'm sure he could me, but that's okay. Anyway, so that's been a development. Oliver had a bout of being really insecure as well, socially. And I think that stems from previous traumas and his life, but also through the changes with me and being thrown into different social circles. because I did start socialising more too, which was probably quite hard for him. That was really tricky to deal with, I'm not gonna lie. He was drinking a lot of spirits fast to try to get over that social anxiety and them insecurities. Now, at first I didn't recognise it as that. I took it really personally. But again, through communication, a hell of a lot of arguments. I recorded some of the times that we were out and the stuff that was happening and made him watch it. He was very reluctant to do that, I'm not gonna lie. We have got to a point where like me and him was at that point where he was like triggering me every time I went out. I didn't drink because I was waiting for something to happen. He didn't understand that. We were arguing and battering heads together, but we have actually worked through that. And I can say for the past, say about a year, I've not had any social drinking issues with Oliver. He's actually done really well, and my anxieties regarding that have reduced a lot, which has actually built our relationship tons. That's required me being really frank and like shoving the fact that he's insecure and that's why he's doing it in his face. He obviously like battled that quite a bit because he thought it was a load of crap and he didn't buy into it, so he says. But I think through a lot of work, that has improved a lot. We were at one point going to go to couples counselling. That actually didn't prevail, but I think recording these videos and reflecting and kind of doing my own counselling away, I'm not going to lie, that has helped us both as a couple. Me also, because I am dealing with our problems a lot less volatile and defensive, and that's actually helped a hell of a lot. I've also been a lot more reassuring to him. I'm trying to be a lot more loving and telling him that I appreciate him and doing things for him every now and again. And he's trying to do that to me also, which does help us both show appreciation to each other. One of the positives that has happened from all this and me being able to go on a plane is we have travelled together lots and had lots of different experiences. That has added to our relationship, and we are at our happiest and have really enjoyed that together. And our life's changing where the kids have grown up. Tia's moved out almost, kind of. She's gone on a cruise ship working, so we haven't got young children around, and I think that's also a difficult time during a relationship. And that's hit in conjunction with me losing weight and going through this like hormonal premenopausal stage. And it's not been easy. It really hasn't been easy. And traveling and finding like a new way of life for me and Oliver without the kids around, that's been a challenge, but something, and it's not an easy challenge to overcome. Like, these things don't happen naturally. This has been a lot of effort of like making sure that we do things together, making sure that we have quality time together, making sure that as life isn't just now scoped around the kids, that we're going out and doing more things together, that we go for coffee dates, that we try to spend a bit of quality time together. The mobile phone, we've got a mobile phone issue at the moment that's not really resolved. Like, Oliver spends a lot of time on screen time, and I really get peed off with that because that makes me feel like he's not really interested in time with me and is not giving me enough time, if that makes sense, and it like attention, like, which makes me sound like an attention whore, but actually it's a thing. We're battling with that at the moment. However, the issues, like, he's more understanding about my mood swings. I'm being more understanding about my mood swings. I'm apologising a lot more. I had a lot of resentment towards him at one point, and I think he did me, and we've learned to not resent each other as much. I'm not saying there isn't any resentment there, but we do have resentment. But it's not as like battling as like loggerheads anymore sometimes. Oh my God, speak of the devil and he shall appear. So Oliver's just cut me off because he's just rang me. He's at work today, and as I was speaking about him, he just started ringing, and I record this on my phone, so that completely cut me up on where I was. So the flow of this video has just been screwed up, but that's fine because I'm not recording all that again. I think I have kind of made my points where how weight loss has affected our relationship. I do want to put a note out there that one of the things that was a bit difficult for me is that I felt really desexualized. I think part of that was myself, because I don't feel attractive and things like that, but also because I felt like Oliver were quite selfish where our relationship were concerned, and sort of started just viewing me as a partner and a friend rather than like somebody that is in love with and that lust had gone. I kind of don't blame him, I'm going to be honest, because I don't think I'm attractive. But having said that, part of the way of moving forward is actually working on that myself. So I have bought new nice underwear, and I have tried to do things and put them in place to reignite that in myself, to build my own confidence, which in turn and through discussion has kind of shoved that onto Oliver as well. And again, I'm going to say I give that guy his dues. He is working with all these things that I'm bringing to his table. Like, his table is here and I'm just throwing stuff on through this weight loss journey as things are arising. And he's not doing bad, actually. Don't get me wrong, he fights it sometimes and we argue and have things that go wrong. But that then leads me to the next point that I want to make and put forward. So we had an agreement that our communication, when we talk about something, can sometimes get very defensive and it becomes like a battle and we go in loggerheads. So I'm like shoving my point forward, which, although valid, may be not done in the correct way. And then he's like gets really defensive and then shoves his point forward and we are like hitting loggerheads. That's got a lot better, but it's not perfect. Our personalities, we are both stubborn, we are both fiery, we're both quite domineering, and like when I know something's right, I will fight it through to the end. So a lot of points that have come up in our relationship throughout this last year, we have hit a lot of loggerheads, and it's caused such turbulence within me and him and his relationship. I'm going to say it and I'm going to say it again. Trust and communication is absolutely key in getting through this. If you're going through a weight loss journey and you're coming up with any of these issues and there's things that's arising, then communication and expressing those are really important. That can be quite difficult when you've got a partner that emotionally isn't there to receive that, and you can find yourself in a situation where you are batting heads and you are arguing. So this leads me to, this is how I've overcome it. Now, this wouldn't work for everybody, and you probably maybe have got partners and stuff that maybe are more receptive and more able to self-reflect and develop. Not that Oliver's not able to do that, but in some ways he's not. Like, he definitely gets defensive and feels like I'm blaming him when all I want him to do is understand where I am. So what we have started doing is, to start off with, once a week, we write a letter to each other. So because it's written, you think about the way that you communicate that across different. So I think you do it and do that in the best possible way. It's allowed Oliver to open up a little bit, where his feelings and his thoughts on what he actually wants from me a bit easier, because I think he's quite a traditional man that doesn't feel like he can do that sometimes. So that's one plus part of it. It also stops the demands going into like a massive wide scale. So you're only allowed to ask like one thing of each other. So the basis is that you write a letter, you can ask for one change. It can be something little, it can be to continue something, it can be something big, but he's only allowed to be one thing. We're not allowed to write on these letters, like, it's not allowed to be a blame game. It's like, you have to just write what it is you need from your partner and how they need to do that, like with clear instructions, so there's no confusion. But also, like, we put on there a little bit of how it makes us feel and how it's like, not how it feels like as in it makes us feel in bad terms, but how doing these changes will help you feel moving forward, just so they get a better understanding, because it's important to me as a woman that I'm understood. I know that some people aren't like that, but I am. So we've only been doing it for a few weeks, really, and we've written these letters to each other, and it's actually quite good. I'm not going to say it's perfect, because some of the things haven't changed, but it's not really been long enough, and it is something that needs readdressing. Some things that are a bit bigger do need a few more weeks. Like, you can't just do it once a week and expect change straight away, but it's actually working for us, and doing that throughout this is what's helped us to grow and develop as a couple. Because any weight loss journey as an individual, you will grow and develop as an individual. Your mind changes, your concepts changes, you will go on positive changes, but you also go on negative changes as well. Everybody goes through like bouts of self-doubt, self-esteem issues. Your head doesn't catch up with you. Like, the things, like, you feel like all your problems are going to be resolved by losing weight, when actually they're not. It actually sometimes gets worse. And I think that can be hard as a couple to progress through and come through the other side. I don't know whether me and Oliver are going to come through the other side, because this isn't the end of my journey. And this is not like the end for me. And I've got loads of growth and development to do on my own. But this is one like thing that we've put in place that does actually seem to be working. I feel like he's absorbing and understanding the way I feel and the way his actions impact on me a lot more. I do think he's become a lot more conscious about his behaviours, both negative and positive. And I'm becoming less resentful and less hurt and feeling less worthless. I feel like he's actually putting that effort in, and that he actually wants to make these positive changes, which ultimately is good for me, because then I feel better. And as I feel better and Oliver feels better, then the relationship progresses and feels better together. So I know that's been a long video. I know that it's probably been a bit more of an overshare. I don't think this is the end of me updating you on mine and Oliver's progression, the ups, downs, and bits in between, like relationships in weight loss are a thing, and it is a big thing. Something that I feel like weight loss groups of whatever kind should actually deal with a lot more and should actually openly talk about. But this is where I'm at, and this is where it is for me. I am going to say I am grateful for Oliver. I do feel like he does love me. He does put up with a lot of crap. I am not a meek and mild individual. If I am upset, I express that. If there's something wrong, I'm not the kind of person that hides it, especially with me and him. I think the trust has developed a lot better. A lot of his like behaviors that like such as drink and perving and stuff like that do seem to have come to an abrupt end from last year, and I'm feeling like he's more committed to making this relationship work than what he ever has been. Like, we've been together for 7.5 years, and as much as this has been a really massive fight between me and him, where I've been like pushing for this change because I'm not prepared to just sit here and put up with it, like the stuff that I'm not happy with, he's fought me usually every step of the way. And I think we came to like a massive breaking point and a massive bout in his relationship where it was make or break, and it was either try and change with me and let's try and make this better, or I'm just not interested in anymore. And I genuinely got to a point where I was at a point where I would let it go, like me and him, as much as that would have hurt. And I do dearly love him. And like I said, he has got some amazing qualities, like really amazing qualities. And there's not many people that fit me because of the way that I am. Like, I need somebody with a bit of oomph and a bit of spontaneity, and somebody that's able to be adventurous. And like, in my older age, I don't need looking after, but I want somebody that wants to look after me. Do you know, that wants to take care of us and make us life better. And I can honestly say in previous relationships that have probably caused me a lot of trauma, which I've carried forward to this relationship, which this weight loss journey has made me address that and have to deal with some of it and put it aside. Like, I was putting some trauma that I'd got, a lot of trauma, onto Oliver that I'd had from previous relationships. And I feel like this last year and a half, I've really addressed that, and not perfectly, don't get me wrong, but I have addressed a lot of that, and there's still work to be done. But I think that's made Oliver feel a lot better, and it's made me feel a lot better, and it has ultimately made us feel stronger as a couple. So that is where I am. I hope that you found this maybe useful. It does give you an insight as to where I am with my journey now. And I did feel like that needed addressing. I'm sorry if it's an overshare. It's not meant to offend anybody. Like my vlogs, I'm open to constructive criticism, but I do understand that my honesty is not for everybody and not everybody's gonna appreciate it. And I just want to take this time to say thank you to all the people, whether you're still following me along or not, that have taken the time to have an input to my journey, both positive and negative, I'm not going to lie, because it has massively helped me grow and reflect in my relationship, in myself, in the way I am, in my diet, like plan, in every way. And I genuinely really do appreciate it. And it's weird because I never thought I'd get that from recording my vlogs and putting them out there, but actually I've got so much positivity from this. So thank you. And don't forget, think thin.